Good evening, my true cruise aficionados. I hope you all are doing well out there, staying healthy, having fun, ready to say something, to see something out there. And just with that note in mind, changing and being healthy, I want to get out there that I am working on that Patreon page. I am adding additional information that I'm not able to do here on YouTube. So if you want to do a deep dive on any of my cases, I really appreciate it if you check out my page, or at least like and subscribe, hit that alert button so you know when new episodes on YouTube come out. If you are interested in a deep dive, go to Patreon. If you're feeling loving and giving, you can even help make a donation so I can grow my channel this year. I'm trying to get out some new stuff. I'm trying to get out to new places, so add some more interesting content and be a little more updated on what I'm doing. Yeah, tonight's case is another cold case file. It comes from Clear Creek County, and it was back in 1984. And it was Elizabeth Ann Miller, and she lived in Idaho Springs, Colorado. Now, Clear Creek County was established on being a gold town at first. Gold didn't turn over as much money as silver did, and people made a lot more money off of silver. It's called the Silver Queen of the Rockies even. And so because of that, there's a lot of mining shafts around in the area. I mean, just driving back and forth to the store or whatever, you're going to see at least 3 or 4 of them. And for a long time, it was thought that her body may be down in these mine shafts because nobody was able to find her. There have been numerous search groups that have gone out looking for her. They've checked all the gold, not all, it's impossible. They've checked a lot of the gold and silver mine shafts. They haven't found her. And it's kind of unusual that if the body was somewhere outside, that animals wouldn't have dug it up unless it was really very deep, or if it was set out in naturally, just thrown on the ground or left and something put out. More than likely that would have been found. It is an area that does get a lot of people. There's hikers, there's bikers, there's four-wheelers, there's a lot of activity that comes through here in the summertime as well as in the wintertime for hiking, snowshoeing, skiing, river rafting. They come and they live in the woods out here. They throw up tents and they're out here most of the summer. So although you get the idea that living in a small town is a safe place to be, neighbors know each other, and you can like leave the door unlocked, it's not necessarily a good thing to do, no matter where you live, because you don't know what your neighbor thinks about you. You don't know what your neighbor's been up to. They're not going to share everything with you just because you see them at Kingseekers and you have conversation with them and you've known them for 15 years and you're over there at the Else club drinking and partying with them. That does not mean you know somebody. Nobody tells you that, hey, you know what? I've had feelings of wanting to like hurt somebody or off somebody off the planet. So Elizabeth Ann Miller was 14 years old at the time this happened. She was a few days away from turning 15. She went to Clear Creek Secondary School. And she decided one evening, on the evening of August 16th, that she was going to go jogging. This is about 36, 37 years ago. And she was jogging in Idaho Springs, and her body, like I said, or her bones had never been found. So there's really nothing to support that something happened to her, except for the fact that she's never ever shown up. Most kids don't just go jogging and never come home again, especially in a home where they're happy and in a small town. I mean, there are certain small town aspects that still apply, even though there's, direct negative aspects that could impact it. So she decided to go out there and start jogging. She was about ready to turn 15. It was in the evening time, but it was in August, so I'm sure that it was still pretty light outside. I think at the time, more people were carrying pagers than cell phones at the time, but it was changing over. And up here, I don't know how much CCTV that they have. I don't think it's a lot, but there wasn't that in place anyway either. So she was probably just out there jogging, having a good time. But she could have been planning on meeting somebody too, somebody that's of an age isn't necessarily going to share that kind of information with their parents. And then if an older guy is interested in you and you come from a small town, you may not be as aware as a city person what are the repercussions of, being next to a male that's a lot older than you and a lot stronger than you. So was she just going jogging? I don't know. She could have said that. For her age, nobody could hold it against her for making things that most teenagers do, and not everybody tells their parents what's going on. And I'm sure she meant it in an innocent fashion. I'm sure she didn't think she was doing anything that wrong either. So off she goes jogging, and she was about 5'4", 105 pounds, hazel eyes, and as I said, she was a freshman at Third Creek Secondary School. At the time, she was wearing a blue t-shirt, white shorts, jogging shoes. The last day she was seen, Beth had told people in the past that people would follow her sometimes, older people around 21 or so. And she was a pretty young girl. She did have, really blonde hair, and that calls a lot of attention. I see it. I've been with my girlfriends, and I see how much attention they would get when I was younger, opposed to me. Not that I'm complaining, I'm just saying the color of your sight more than a dark-haired person does. So, in this town, because it is a tourist town, people do come up and visit on the weekends, they pack in. The town needs that money to survive on, but at the same time, there's probably a certain fraction of those people that are up to no good, because people do come up here to do no good, just like they do anywhere else in the world. So, I don't know, not sounding good right there. So then, we don't know at this point. Was she planning on meeting somebody? They said when they were investigating the case, because her mother was in law enforcement and so was her dad, familiar with law enforcement, had been 13 years in law enforcement in South Dakota. The mom was a clerk at the Third Creek County Sheriff's Office. They had begun searching for her immediately that night. They were aware of the dangers that could happen, and even if it was a small town, and too much time going by wasn't going to be a good thing. Witnesses would begin to come forward and tell investigators they saw a man in his 30s the previous weekend driving a small red pickup truck, faded red Ford Courier truck with a white camper shell and out-of-state license plates. The man that was flirting with Beth had become angry when Beth had refused to carry on a conversation with him. You know the type of guy, they start out kind of nice, and then they think you're not interested, and you're blowing them off, and you get completely unreasonable. So, especially with somebody that age, and then he probably's like, oh, I don't need to get back at you, but I just like you so much. Listen, can we spend some time together? I promise I'm innocent. I'll let you get home my time, type of thing. And, somebody that's young and has been protected by their family, that may sound like an interesting deal. So, more than 200 volunteers searched around Idaho Springs. The town's about 2,100 people. Men in hiking gear went out in the mountains and looked at the streams, trails, lovely lanes. 2 helicopters had come out and searched the area. Owners in the storefronts had closed down their storefronts as well as posting posters about her missing. And it was like the weirdest thing that happened after that, because a lady, after a Denver Post reporter had done a story on it, a lady had come forward and she's like, I want to, be involved, and I want to get this campaign going to, get the information out about that. Because they even had psychics on the scene, trying to see what they could find out about it. Obviously, nothing became of that. I don't know. Anyway, so Dorothy Dottie Brevard of Denver started a campaign in December of 1983 and sent 30 reward posters, and the reward was for $32,000 at that point in time. And they were going around and they were putting them out in stacks of hundreds. And they were putting them at 4 Denver radio stations, wherever they could think of to put them. So they were in a Fort Morgan gas station. A man with a small red Ford Courier pickup truck with a white camper shell went into the Fort Morgan gas station, noticed the stack of posters about Beth's disappearance, and he just suddenly snatched the posters up and bolted from the gas station. The attendant noticed the strange behavior and tried to take a license plate thing there. And they found out that it was canceled Denver license plates, which they've given them a lot of information as well about who was canceled by and all this other crap. I'm sure that was all there. But anyway, so um, on August 9th, 1984, a story in the Rocky Mountain News identified a person of interest in the case. The person was Robert Arnold Storm, 18, who was then being held in El Paso County Jail, charged with the May 5 fatal shooting of Shawana Webb, 17, his co-worker at a movie theater. Storm had signed on a graffiti wall in Colorado Springs that asked whether police wanted to know where Beth's body was buried at. It said that her body was buried at King Supers. But Storm denied writing the message. She also said he knew another girl named Beth Miller. And for one thing, out there in the mountains, it's mostly Beth's sister. It's Beth's sister, Lynn Miller Granger, who was 26 in 1990. She joined the Idaho Springs Police Force, saying that the decision to become a law enforcement agent had a lot to do with her sister's disappearance. And in part, the 10-year anniversary of Beth's disappearance in 1983, investigators pursued a tip that had been circulating the past 7 years that a man named Edward Apodaca had killed Beth and buried her body in a wooded area. Then Apodaca's wife and mother had killed him. The wife and her mother, had killed him. So there was no way to talk to him to find out what had happened. But in saying that, that says so much. What the hell happened there that they killed him? And they're serving in prison too for murder. It's like such a strange turn of events. Anyway, independent witnesses have reported they had seen him talking to Beth while they were both sitting in a red or rusted pickup truck with a camper shell and New Mexico plates on August 13th, approximately 3 days before she vanished. The license plates with some matching numbers was later found on Apodaca's property. At one point, authorities dug in an area near Idaho Springs where a witness said she was very near a tree. No remains have been found, and a judge did rule Beth legally dead in 1994. The case isn't dead yet. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to tie it if this was this man that did it. But there's new agents that are coming on all the time, maybe able to get some resolution for the Miller family. My condolences to the Miller family. I do hope that this will be solved for you, and I hope that it's nobody that you all know, and that this person does pay the price or has paid the price, and however he's been living his life for the crimes that he's committed. And I say he because I find it hard to believe that it would have been female to have done this. So anything important that you could think of or may have seen in regard to this case, even the smallest little thing, reach out to the Idaho Springs Police Department. I'll post the number here at the end of the on a title card. But it's painful to me because you think about when you're 14 and how innocent you are, but how curious you are to explore the world. And now there's some kind of evil, wretched person out there willing to take advantage of your innocence. And with that being said, I love you guys. Hit my Patreon page if you would live to get more in depth on this or any of my other cases. If you are feeling giving, wanting to help me grow my page, I would love it if you made a small donation there as well. In the meantime, we're done here. I'll see you next weekend. Stay safe out there. If you see something, say something. I hope speed is around the corner. I can hardly put up with it anymore. I love winter time, but I'm kind of over it. Love you guys. Take care, my lovelies. See you next week.